There's supposed to be 4 of us. We just have all here. So. 251, section 010, this is top 3. For credits, summer 2025, I think it's 12 weeks. We're running.
Because it's from
May 19th to April to April.
August.
May 19th to April, wouldn't that be nice? August 18th. And the final exam is the last day of the class, August 18th. Prerequisites, Calc 2 with a minimum of C or the approval of the chair. Right here in LA 202, every Monday and Wednesday from 1 to 3:15. There will be a 10-minute break at some point in the class. So my name is James Walker, standard Mercer email address. So the best way to contact me is a Teams direct message, Microsoft Teams direct message. Everyone has an account as a Mercer student. It's also generally the way that I contact, so I'll send out announcements through Teams. So I recommend just download the Teams app on your phone. It acts like a text message then, and you can also call on it without me having to give out my phone number, which is nice. How do you contact me though? Make sure you include the course and section. I do try to respond within 2 business days, Monday through Thursday. And so if you email me Thursday, don't expect a response until Monday at the earliest. But if for some reason I don't get back to you, just reach out to me again. I mean, either I forgot or it's lost. If you do email, do so only from the Mercer account. So I earned a Bachelor's of Science in Physics with a minor in Astronomy, a Bachelor's of Arts in Mathematics, Rowan University in 2013. I also then earned my Master's in Mathematics from Rowan in 2015. Right after that, I jumped right into profession. And I was doing it before, tutoring, even in high school, I was tutoring. Right? In other words, I've been doing this for a very long time. I'm old. I'm sure with all the applications of mathematics. Obviously, physics is the biggest interest, but also economics, accounting, really getting into finance lately. I mean, free time reading, YouTube. Not too much anymore since the Oblivion Remastered Shadow dropped last month. That's been my entire life since then. And before that was Monster Hunter Wilds. And then Oblivion Shadow dropped and I was like, oh, sorry, Monster Hunter. Oblivion.
Have you watched any new animes?
Currently watching the English dub of Arifureta, season 3. I already saw that in Japanese,
Okay.
so I'm just watching it.
Have you seen 3?
No, it's on my
It's
list,
very good.
but there's so much I've been watching. There's a lot this season. Right now, it's just the Unaware Atelier Meister, because that's an English dub, and I tend to watch it while I'm doing other stuff. And I'll be watching the Overlord movie soon,
Try to catch up on the board. I started it so long ago.
because I think they only have 1 season left, and the movies require watching. So this is a chance to earn some brownie points. Do you recognize that number?
Cool.
Good job, brownie points. That is the golden ratio, which is the most common number in the universe. Really get bonus points if you recognize this equation.
I didn't see. Is that universal gravitational constant? No?
That's just a capital G.
Okay. Sorry, I was just off the tail end of physics tutoring. So I'm still, my brain is still.
No, this is physics.
Is this physics?
Yeah,
Okay. So I'm coming to. Is it something kinetics related?
Something to do with astronomy? Or
Not directly astronomy,
Okay, I haven't seen any astronomy courses, so.
but it is used in
People that might be-
astronomy.
For like black hole, like radiation or something.
So not direct, again, this kind of governs some black holes, but it's not directly black hole related. This is the Einstein field equation from general relativity.
No.
Okay.
Those are tensors. So this is actually not fair, that's like 18 equations.
Okay, yeah, I've only done,
18, 27.
I've done mechanics in, so.
Each of those tensors is essentially a 4x4 matrix.
Based on the weight.
So it's 16 equations that relates all of the dimensions to each other.
Wow.
Yeah, tensors are a pain. That's a grad topic though, so you don't have to worry about that for quite a while. You can schedule a point by going to that link. Let's actually click it. Although it's not going to show, I'll have to change that. So that link brings right to the scheduling page. You just click a day, the time, and I do require 24-hour notice, but it won't even show up if it's not available. So nothing's showing up for tomorrow because it's beyond the 24-hour notice window. Time, it's going to ask you 3 questions. Name and email, so only use your Mercer email. If you use a different email, I'm just going to cancel the appointment. Location, so whether you want to meet in person or virtually. In person, just be right in this building downstairs, alley 130, it's the adjunct work office. And then, just, let's start the meeting. I'll be prepared for it. Then just hit schedule event with an email confirmation. If it's a virtual appointment, you should then receive a second email once I set up the link. I'm going to require that it's appointment only. So I don't have to worry about rushing here. I don't have an appointment. I'm about an hour away. They are in 15-minute blocks. If you need more time, you can schedule back-to-back events. That's fine. Using free open source textbook, Calculus Volume 3, OpenStax, you can just click that link. The slides are already available. I'll show you how to access them later. Takes you to the website. You can also buy a hard copy if you so desire. I think it's $30-something.
Yeah, 34.
For a hard copy. Obviously Blackboard. The Office 365 suite, again, you have access to it. If you click that link, it will take you to instructions on how to download it. RoboSign for online homework. Again, for the OpenStax book, if I remember correctly, it's only $32 for single term access. So it's actually really not that bad.
It's like the online one is free, right?
The book itself is free, but the access to
Yeah.
RoboSign homework,
Oh.
you require a license for that. And for single term, it's like $30-some. Just be careful you don't select multi-term, which is more expensive. But it'll give you an option. And again, if you click that link, it'll take you to the registration page. Calculator. That's not correct. I need to update that. With symbolic manipulation. I personally recommend the TI Inspire CX2 CAS. It's the one that I use, and it's the one that I'll be showing off in class. Online graphic utility, again, I adopted these from pre-calculus. I have to update these. that's nice. Why are you now not part of the... That's interesting. Why you're not? Why are you being weird like that? That's really odd. Let's do this for a moment. I did. Wolfram? I'll attach a link later. You have to remind me. Just go to wolframcloud.com, you can create a free account. Or if you want to pay for a subscription and download, get a desktop version, that's also fine. But the online version is fine for our purposes. Again, I'll be showing that off in class. And if you're going to do a virtual appointment, you're going to need a microphone and a webcam. So, what is calculus 3? I'm so glad you asked. Take what you did in Calc 1 and Calc 2. Now extend it to multiple dimensions. That's Calc 3. It's multivariate calculus. We start by expanding what you ended Calc 2 with. Right, so you should have ended Calc 2 with parametric equations, essentially geometry of the plane. Well, they didn't call them vectors, but they were two vectors. When you set up a set of parametric equations, you can also write it as an ordered pair as a vector. We're going to extend that now to 3 dimensions and beyond. Well, focus with 3 dimensions, but the concepts extend to beyond 3 dimensions. So we look at the geometry of space, vectors in the geometry of space. Then we move on to the actual multivariate part, multivariate functions and multivariate calculus, starting with partial derivatives. Okay, and then we'll get through here, and you'll be like, ah, cool, we're getting that in Calc 3, it's Z. Then you hit this cliff, and you go, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll get a B. Then you hit this cliff, and you just pray for a C. Multiple integration and then vector calculus. They're hard.
So is that just like double and triple integrals, or?
We focus on double and triple, but the idea is extend beyond. So string theory, I've done a 26 level integral. And pain. And then vector analysis. Vector fields, line integrals, surface integrals. Flux, taking E and M. You're familiar with flux? Yeah. We're doing flux integrals. They're really annoying. Divergence, curl, all that kind of stuff. Like I said, at that point, you're just praying for a C. But that stuff is really hard. So this is massive curve.
Is there like a particular breakdown of how much we're going to cover each of these topics?
What do you mean, how much?
Like, are they all going to get the same amount of class time, or?
The syllabus has a schedule.
Okay,
Has a tentative schedule on what's going to be covered, right?
gotcha.
And vector calculus ends with 3 theorems, which is actually the whole point of the calculus sequence, is to get these 3. Green's theorem, Stokes' theorem, divergence theorem. That is the whole point of calculus. Sounds easy.
Yeah.
Until you actually get to it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And then you go, oh, shit, this isn't as easy as I thought it would be. So I'm warning you now, Calc 3 is not easy. It's made easier because we have technology to help us visualize 3 dimensions. Back in my day, we didn't. And we had to try and imagine all these 3-dimensional regions in our head. It was fun. And it's a link to the attendance policy, or actually just academic policies in general. Attendance is in there. In short, attendance is expected and required at every meeting. I do record attendance. I'm required to report attendance. And you're expected to arrive on time, stay throughout the entire duration. You'll need to scan a QR code to check in. Should be able to see it in both corners up there, as well as the first slide.
I went to that and it said the full one was closed.
It doesn't open until 10 minutes before play starts.
No.
So it should be open now. And I do that because I do post these slides online ahead of time.
Oh, okay, I see.
So I don't want you to be able to cheat. Although with only 4 of you, I think I could tell. Why was the QR code not on these slides? That's interesting. Oh, I know why. Okay. Oops. And as you'll see, I am including attendance in the grading this semester. It's only 5%. So if you show up every single day, it's a free 5 points.
Everybody counts.
So if you show up every single day, the lowest is 5 out of 100.
Nice. Guaranteed 5 points. Off to a good start.
Late work is not accepted without prior authorization. And so make sure you reach out to me. It's the summer, so I'm generally more lenient over the summer than during the regular semester. And so you need to contact me prior to the due date. Makeups, if you miss an exam due to circumstances beyond your control, then I will offer a makeup, but you have to reach out to me as soon as possible. Obviously, documentation is going to be required. Something along the lines of, I just woke up sore, it's not going to really fly. When I woke up with the sniffles, it's not really going to fly. And the decision to provide makeup is my sole discretion. There are no retakes. And so if you bomb an exam, you're not retaking it. Electronics, I don't want to see any electronics in class. Turn off your cell phones. Put them on silent, put them away.
Well, the tablets should take them.
Tablets, fine, no laptops. Last semester, I was watching videos and stuff and not paying attention, and then wondering why they all failed. Generative AI, yes, we're in a brand new age. By the way, I love generative AI. I'm becoming quite familiar with ChatGPT. It makes my life so much easier. Can be used as a tool to support learning, right? So you can use it if you need help, you want it to explain a concept that you're really not grasping, you can use it for that. I don't think it's really going to matter in this course, but let's say you need help coming up with an idea for an assignment. You can use it to help you generate ideas. You just can't use it to do the assignment for you. And generally speaking, if you're going to use AI to help generate ideas as well, you should probably document it. That you used AI to help you with this. Again, work submitted should be your own work, not the work of the AI. And you can also use the AI to check your answers on a test. Like once the test is handed back, if you wanted to explain a test question, you can use AI for that. So I'm generally pretty open with it. In fact, there may be some assignments where I'm going to require you to use AI.
Is it good calculator?
Okay.
Because my experience with
Oh, yeah.
it in physics has been.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
I use ChatGPT, and I've had it analyze calculated. It's pretty damn good.
I've had a lot of my students try using it.
They're probably not entering it the right way.
And I mean, that's probably
If you know how to construct a prompt,
yeah.
it's very good. I had it write up so I had a linear algebra project on hill cipher substitution. I had to pass it through about 5-6 times, but it came up with the solution
Yeah.
and correct solution. But you have to know what you're doing so you can actually point out the errors. But a lot of the errors that I've noticed are not really punchable errors, it's misinterpretation errors. And then once you correct the misinterpretation, it's very, very good. Even at proofs, it's very good. It's scary. So, I may have some miscellaneous assignments on AI where I go, okay, here's a problem, throw it into ChatGPT and analyze its solution. Just to get used to it, to show the limitations as well. Civility, be civil to each other. Don't be a douche. Don't cause distractions, making noise, moving around, things like that. Again, small class, some a little more lenient. Assessment details, I don't think I actually fixed this. Maybe I did, we'll see. 3 exams will make up 45%. Quizzes will make up 25%. I'm not exactly showing the exact number of quizzes, but there will be several of them. Group assignments will be worth 15. Looks like I actually did correct this, so that's nice. Your unassigned assignments will be 5% total. Attendance will be 5, and then participation is 5. So participation is going to be miscellaneous assignments. So I'm going to try to do some worksheets every class. Like any class assignment, that would go into participation. And if I assign something with AI, that would be participation. So generally, any assignment that doesn't fit into one of these categories will go towards your participation grade. And the third exam does have to be comprehensive. That is a school policy, not a new policy. And then the standard breakdown of grades. Note taking tips, you really shouldn't be writing word for word in class. That distracts from what's actually going on. So just write down the important concepts and use shorthand. Right, and then after you get home, that's when you generally rewrite with more detail. And it is recommended to handwrite. There are studies that show that handwriting improves retention. Closing remarks, this is a participation sport. You're not going to learn it just by sitting here and listening to me. You're going to learn it best by being hands-on with it. That's what she said. Discuss it amongst yourselves first. So generally speaking, if you run into a problem, you should probably reach out to your peers first, rather than me. And if you explain it to someone, you also help with retention. And so, read the textbook, yes. Misconception, math involves a lot of reading. There is reading in math. So read the book. Do the exercises. And watch the lecture videos. Speaking of that, I'll get into that in the syllabus. Read the proofs. Try to follow the logic of the proofs. And yes, that will take several read-throughs of the proof to fully understand it. When studying, you probably shouldn't do so in bed, in your pajamas, and fuzzy slippers. You don't want to be comfortable, like it's bedtime. No, you should be at a desk somewhere. This is true when also doing your homework. Do not wait until the last minute to start an assignment. Yes, I realize that falls on deaf ears many times. Struggling, seek help immediately. Do not wait until the very last minute. Once you fall behind, it's difficult to catch up. Now, granted, this is a 12-week, so it's only 3 weeks shorter, so it's not that bad. It's a 5-week, you're really screwed.
5 is brutal. I don't know why you wouldn't still say that. Unless you like really have to 5 weeks.
Do not ask at the end of the term if there's a way to boost your grade. The answer is going to be no. And so again, keep up with your work, and when you struggle, you need to seek help. Best option first is peers, then tutoring. We do have free tutoring here. Don't know how the summer Cal 3 looks. And then reach out to me. I know it's summer term, better things you should be doing than sitting in Cal 3, or you maybe not. Cal 3 is kind of the best course. It's probably the best way to spend your summer. We should meet every single day, 8 hours a day.
Will they pay for 5 weeks then?
And then we move on to some of the applications.
Get really up with Calgary.
Married. Most importantly of all, as always, you're expected to have fun. Expect fun at all times. Before I move on to that, let's quickly. Not open that yet. Yes, this would help as well. If you come into Blackboard, and a lot of these are going to be hidden, so you're not going to see them. I'm too lazy to use the preview. Course information. Notice there's 2 links, schedule and appointment, which will take you to the calendar page, and Microsoft Sites. This is where I will upload all the documents. You can just click that link, it will bring you here. And I added everyone this morning who's on the roster, so you should have access to the site. Some information, blah, blah, blah. Don't care about the video yet. Documents is where everything will be uploaded. So you see the syllabus in here already. Upload presentations that morning, so you can get a quick look at them. And I'll be using those presentations in class, so as I notate on it, should automatically update on here as well. Same with syllabus, if I can make any changes, it should automatically upload. There will also be a file in here for class recordings. I record all my lectures, make the recordings available, and then at the end of the term, I reserve the right to make them public by posting them on my YouTube page. Let's go to syllabus. Oh yeah, I have document set. Just let me do, yes, there we go. I'll just run over. So let me get to here, right? So again, link here. Blackboard. Here's the link to WebAssign. This is the registration page for the WebAssign. So it's going to, so it'll automatically access course, make sure it's the right course. It is. Continue, it's going to ask you to either log in or create an account. And that brings me here because it's annoying. I have to go to what my course is. Yeah. And they'll bring it up to the WebAssign. There should be a grace period, so you don't have to pay for access right away. I think it's a 14-day grace period from the start of the semester, which is today. After which point, when you go to log in, if you haven't already purchased access, it's going to ask you to. You see there's already homework up there. How am I going to do homework this semester? So generally speaking, each section of the textbook is going to have its own set of problems. Unfortunately, I can only have it select 9. You have to get 5 of them correct to get credit for the whole thing. I don't think it's going to make you answer all 9. I think once you answer 5 correctly, you get credit, you can move on. Right, so you'll get 1 point for section 2.1 problems, 1 point for section 2.2, right? So that is how each week will work. Each section cover will have its own set of problems that you have to get 5 of 9 correct. Each question will give you 5 attempts to get it correct without a penalty. Again, I wish it would let me choose more. I wanted to actually just have all the problems I select and only do 5 of them. But maximum is going to show us 9. Hopefully they fix that soon, but that's how it'll work. And I think you have unlimited attempts on the assignment. Could be wrong with that. I didn't see an option for that. But that's how the homework will work each week. It'll open up at the start of the week and be due prior to the first meeting of the week. And so this homework will be due before, well, we don't meet Monday, but it's scheduled to be due next Monday at 1 p.m. There's the link for Wolfram Cloud, and also its documentation center. So take advantage of both of them. Like I said, you can create a free account. I would recommend just using your school email address to create a free account. The free account does everything the paid account does, except how long it keeps the files. I think it automatically deletes the files from the cloud after a certain amount of time. I think it's 60 days. Otherwise, it has everything that the paid account does. Kind of goes into more detail about everything I just went over. And there's the idea on the recordings, web assignment, logs, exams, quizzes. With the quizzes, they will be all online through Blackboard. These several types of questions that I use: fill in the blanks, numeric response, true, false, multiple choice, and then open-ended essay question, because for some reason new Blackboard doesn't allow a file response. But the essay does allow you to upload a file. So that's what the open-ended would be, you have to upload a file. For those questions, you'll do the work only for that question, and then upload that as either PDF or manage on Blackboard.
So I'm guessing the quizzes will be like take-home assignments?
Yes. I don't want multiple responses on each file. If there is, I'm not grading. I also will not accept any files sent by message or email. It has to be uploaded on the quiz. I will give more than enough time.
Can you clarify what you mean by like multiple responses on file?
So when you upload your response, I don't want to see like question 1 and question 2 on the same file.
Okay, gotcha. So like separate files?
Yes, I just want question 1.
Okay.
No, I just want question 2. You don't have to do separate sheets of paper. You can crop your images before you upload it. That's what I want. So when you do question 1, when you upload it, it's only a response for question 1 and nothing else.
Oh, I see. So like basically each question gets on the leads.
Yes. And you upload the file just for that question.
Gotcha.
Helps keep everything organized so I don't have to flip through 7 pages of work to try and grade one question. Because I do question by question, not student by student. All right, and that is also on here as well. All right, so group assignments. So at the end, once I'm done with this a little bit, actually, we don't have to worry about it because there's only 4 of you, so it's going to be one group. The entire class is just one group, which really makes the grading the assignment easy because there's only one grade. And again, the breakdown and then your college policies that you have to read through. The important one is if you do have an accommodation, get that to me as quickly as possible. I'm not actually sure if this college sends it to me automatically or not. They might.
No, yeah.
But if you have one, you need to send it to me ASAP so that I can get everything set up. Also, for extended tests, those will require to be taken in the test center if you're using extended time. The test center requires 3 days from me for them to process it. So when I drop it off, I can't have it open for 3 days, 3 business days. So you need to let me know like a week in advance so I can get it set up. And they also require appointments now.
Yeah, I think it's like 2 days or something.
I don't know how much time is for the appointment,
No, like,
but for me, I have to drop it off 3 days in advance.
for like a student, if they want to like request an appointment, it has to be, they ask for at least 2 business days.
I wonder if that's just for the instructor's convenience. But whatever, you have to go schedule an appointment. And I think you can do that before I drop off the test.
Yeah.
Like you can schedule the appointment, then you can let me know, oh, hey, I scheduled the appointment for this date, so I can get it dropped off for you. I am on campus this semester Monday through Thursday, just to give you an idea. Last semester was only Mondays and Wednesdays, and I'm not driving out here on a Tuesday to drop it off. I made sure. So we can drop off on Monday or Wednesday. And academic integrity, again, a lot of this isn't going to matter. And just don't cheat. And then a tentative course schedule. Also, the breakdown of how many minutes from each class. Because each topic I have set up to be for a 100-minute course, a 100-minute meeting, which is what you meet if you meet twice a week for 15 weeks. 100 minutes a day. And we meet for 135. There's 10-minute break. That I'm building in. I did the math already. I'm doing 125 minutes a day. So that's what we're going to do. Unfortunately, that means that topics are going to be broken up into different days. But that's okay. And so pay attention. Again, the formatting on this is weird. I don't know why the format's different than when I download it. I'm doing desktop version, but whatever. Because we do have 3 days where we're not meeting. The 26th for Memorial Day, what is the 19th, I believe. The 18th, and the 7th of July. Which means I have 35-day weekends. Love it. And again, exams are also shown on here. Right? So the first exam, tentatively scheduled for, where was it? After the second recess, June 23rd. And I'll try to do the exams the first 100 minutes of the course. And then we move on to the new stuff. And keep in mind that this is a object of my whim, which means it's subject to change at my whim for any reason at any time with or without notice. I could just decide to come in tomorrow and give you an exam if I so choose. Well, not tomorrow, Wednesday, if I so choose. Right, so you're understanding that I can change this at any time. It's not fixed in stone. Also, the heads up. I have a medical condition with the heat. I have vertigo and dehydration, which is not fun. Vertigo's bad enough. Now combine that with dehydration, that adds on to the vertigo. It's just not fun. There are days where I don't want to get out of bed. So if it's extremely hot out, I may hold the meeting virtually, so I don't have to go out in heat. Just walking out in heat will set off my vertigo. And if it's really muggy, forget it. Yeah, definitely not leaving my house. If it's 100 degrees but it's not muggy, I generally am okay. But that's just a fair point for this summer. And I'll obviously communicate that with you. I also have 2 kids, 2 young kids. They love to get me sick. So, It is what it is. We love sharing the terms. And then there are two important dates to remember at the very bottom, the ad drop period that ends tomorrow, and the withdrawal deadline is July 10th. Are there any questions? Should be pretty chill, especially when there's only 4 of us. Why is it not playing sound? There we go. Isn't that the tricky? Look away for a second. So that actually lighten the mood a little bit. The rest of the first 100 minutes, it's about another 60 minutes, which is perfect. That's why I have time for it. I was going to say 4 groups, but again, there's only 4 of us. I have groups of 4, so you don't have a choice. Go on one group. So, prerequisite review worksheet, you'll work on this together. You're in the middle, so you'll all work on it together. This will be your first participation assignment, the first class assignment. So I'm not grading it on accuracy. And again, it's purely participation. I'm also going to have you just fill out the index card, put your names on it. Because your groups aren't changing. There's only one person, there's only one group in this. But the groups won't change throughout the semester, so you're stuck with each other. And this will be the same things that you use for the in-class assignments as well as the group assignments. So maybe also exchange contact information with each other so you can reach out. You study as well together, right? We'll just hand this in after at 10:40, 10-minute break, and then we'll, not 10:40, but how much it's, sorry, 2:40.
So one right now?
We started at 1:40 right now, that's going on. Alright, so 2:40, we'll turn this in, have a 10-minute break, and then start with that first topic. Have I had you before?
Yes.
Oh, I knew you were.
Numbers 1 and 2.
I saw your name, I'm like,
Yeah.
what's familiar? This name's ringing a bell. So you just love it towards Rick. Was that online?
No, it was like in the summer, like a year back.
I'm doing those things personally in the summer.
No, it was.
Okay. It's just like, look for punishment, aren't you? Ignore that where it says next class meeting. I'm turning it in today.
Yeah.
So. Just
side.
Yeah.
But yeah, that
The square that you never did the square root something.
There isn't like a rule set of the equation, right? It's something that's shit.
Just an FYI, completing square is not just for equations. You can complete the square by equation, you should not account to.
I mean, yeah, you can. I was just saying, for if you're like trying to square both sides, there isn't.
Oh, yes, there's square root sides.
Yeah.
I hope to become a teaching assistant for my kids professor. I was a lab assistant last semester, so I'm just like hoping to like the stress strain and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was doing it. It wasn't too bad. I don't have to like grade you, so that's all the professors do.
All right, so we're starting. And we start our study with vectors. So this is going to be a major review. Either of you taken intro mechanics?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so this is going to be a review for you as well. Vectors, yeah, this is a review if you've taken introductory mechanics. It's literally the exact same thing.
I just finished WX course, and that's like all this was.
Yeah.
It was awful because they didn't make calc. They had like prereq for dynamics, so it was like intro to mech but applied, and I was like, oh my god.
You don't need calculate for mechanics, so if mechanics is a prereq, and you'll see why.
Yeah.
You can calculate. But again, this
Dynamics
is,
was a lot of matrices. It was.
so you need linear at least.
I'm taking linear with you actually here. So.
Here? I'm not doing linear here.
Or not linear. I'm taking differential equations with you. I'm taking linear.
Oh, okay, so I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, differential equations actually needs linear algebra, so I don't know why they don't make linear prereq for it. Gonna go over this pretty quickly for the most part. So how the course is gonna be designed, there's lecture videos that are on Blackboard. You're expected to watch those on your
These ones or?
No, different. So expect to watch those before class. I'll just kind of briefly show these, and then I'll just do problems. And again, we'll end with an in-class worksheet. Vector, quantity and magnitude, or not quantity, sorry. It's a quantity that has direction and magnitude. Equivalent vectors, they have the same magnitude and direction. Right? So, speed is a scalar. Velocity is a vector. Which obviously now brings in the difference between displacement and distance. As well, if I remember correctly, distance covered is the vector. Displacement is the scalar. So distance can be 0. You walk to the supermarket, walk back home. What's your distance? 0. You're starting at the same point. What's your displacement? That would be the total miles. Right? So there are several ways that you can write vectors as a directed line segment with an initial point and terminal point as a in component form. This is the way that we write it in Calc 3. In point and braces. Right? Linear algebra, you'll use matrix notation. Right? Magnitude, square root of the sum of the square root components. Right? You have scalar multiplication and vector addition. We'll cover multiplication of vectors later. There's actually 2 ways to do it.
Is it the dot?
Dot and cross. Right, so properties, vector addition is commutative, associative, has an additive identity, the 0 vector, has an additive inverse, just -1 times the vector, which also brings up a point. Notice there's no vector subtraction. How many operations are there? How many arithmetic operations are there?
I mean, technically, like, two.
There's only two.
Yeah, because like division is multiple.
Division is multiplication, subtraction is addition. So subtraction is defined as addition of the inverse, the additive inverse. Division is multiplication of the multiplicative inverse. So you actually only have two operations, addition and multiplication. Which again is why in PEMDAS, you do multiplication and division together, and you do addition and subtraction together. Because it's the same operation. Associativity of scalar multiplication. How you multiply the scalars doesn't matter. And so you can either multiply scalar by the vector first and then multiply the other scalar, or just multiply your two scalars together and then multiply by the vector. Scalar multiplication distributes across scalar addition, and scalar multiplication also distributes across vector addition. So it distributes across both types of addition. One is the multiplicative identity, and if you multiply a vector by 0, you just get the 0 vector. And in linear algebra, you actually learn these properties part of vector space. So these are actually vector space, that's why you have these properties. But I'll let you study vector spaces later. They're more fun. Unit vector, magnitude of 1. And if you want to find a unit vector in the direction of a specific vector, we typically represent that with a E. And so E sub v would be a unit vector in the direction of V. And this process is known as normalizing the vector. And then you have your standard unit vectors, which again from mechanics you should know. I hat, J hat, and move into 3 dimensions, K hat. Actually just taught linear algebra, so all this is fresh in my mind. These are also the standard vectors in the standard basis. Those are the vectors in your standard basis for R2. And R3 would be I, J, K would be your standard basis. Yeah, no, learn that. Vectors in space, obviously just 3 dimensions, so everything still holds. Addition's the same way, just add corresponding components. Magnitude's the same thing, it's just the sum of the square root of the sum of the square components. And then you have your 3 standard unit vectors, I hat, J hat, K hat. I represents the direction along the x-axis. J represents the direction along the y-axis. K represents the direction along the z-axis. And typically speaking, when you're looking at a 3-dimensional coordinate system, X is the depth, comes in and out. Y is then horizontal, and Z is vertical. But it doesn't have to be that way, as long as it follows the right-hand rule, where you curl X into Y, Z represent your thumb points in the positive Z direction. Right. So if we do X as vertical, Y is horizontal, then the positive Z would be coming out at you. That's the right-hand rule. So let's look at some problems. Find magnitude direction of A, B, A plus B, and B minus A. As a general rule of thumb, well, yes, how you write your vector doesn't matter. You want to keep your final answer in the form that it was given. So typically what I do is I'll convert this to component form, do all my work, and then write the answer in the linear combination form. But part A is easy enough, right? So I'll do this. Summary. What did it so I can't use pink. Purple's more winter. It's a purple winter color. Can I do it light red?
Hmm.
Or maybe light orange or something. Yeah, summary. We'll start with that one. So there are two ways to represent magnitude. Right, the way that was given, using double vertical lines. I believe if you use LaTeX, these are called V-bars. And there's it's either V-bars or vert. Might be no math. I have to remember. I haven't coded in LaTeX in a while to try and remember what that is. But these are the known bars, I call them. Or just a letter without the arrow, or unbolded. So that would represent magnitude if you're talking about a vector. And I use both interchangeably. Remember, it's the square root, sum of the square of the components. And a way you can think of magnitude say that's your initial point, that's your terminal point, that's the vector, right? We'll do this. It's the hypotenuse of the right triangle. Right? Just let your base be the horizontal distance from the initial point to the terminal point. You let your height be the vertical distance from the initial point to the terminal point. Then your vector itself forms a hypothesis, and so the length of that vector is the length of the hypotenuse. I think it's hypothesis. Hypotenuse, right? And that obviously follows the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. It's also a distance formula, right? Distance between 2 points. Same thing. Right, magnitude of b, square root, 2 squared plus negative 1 squared. Right? Which is what, root 5?
Yeah.
There you go. Those are your lengths. They also want direction. So when we talk about the direction of a vector, if we're dealing with two vectors in the plane, which is what we're dealing with here, we want the angle that the vector makes with the positive x-axis. That's how we measure direction. Right, well, the beautiful thing about math in general is how you set up your coordinate system is irrelevant. Right? So, again, we could have something like this. And there's our vector, right? The initial and terminal. The direction of that vector is still found the same way. All we're going to do is adjust the coordinate system so that the origin is now the initial point. Now find the angle that the vector makes with respect to the new positive x-axis. So how you set up your coordinate system doesn't matter. So you can always, so what you want to do is standard form of vector is your initial point to the origin. As long as you don't change the length and the direction, you can move the vector anywhere you want, and it's an equivalent vector, it's the exact same vector. That's the idea behind the component form, right? So let's call it theta sub A. I'll go back to your right triangle. How's tangent defined in a right triangle? Opposite is what? Which is your y coordinate, right? And your adjacent would be the x. In this case, notice I'm not writing inverse tangent. Now I have to look at the vector. Your terminal point is 3, 4. What quadrant is that in? First quadrant. Is tangent positive or negative? Positive. So you can't just take the inverse tangent. Because what's the range of the inverse tangent? That's not tangent.
Oh, no, it's like.
That's not inverse tangent.
No, I'm not sure.
Inverse cosine is the top half.
Is it the first and third? This first and fourth?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Range of the inverse tangent is minus pi over 2 to pi over 2. Not including the endpoints, it's open. So it's the right half of the circle. And since you want your angle to be with respect to the positive x-axis, that means it's between 0 and 2 pi. The only time you can safely take the inverse tangent is if it's quadrant 1. Because that's the only one that will give you an angle in the range. Or the range will give you a proper angle, right? If it's quadrant 4, you have to add 2 pi to it to make it a positive angle. That's your direction. Your vector A. Inverse tangent of 3/4. And leave it in that form. You never give an approximation unless it's asked. Yeah, this isn't physics or engineering. We don't deal with sig figs unless they're presented to us. We keep everything exact. So that's your angle. Then the angle, the direction for vector B would be given by tangent of theta, -1 over 2. Which quadrant are we located in? Oh wait, that should not be 3/4, that should be 4/3, sorry. I'll mix that up. So again, first, terminal point 2, -1 for quadrant.
Oh, -1 is in the thing.
So the fourth quadrant, right? X positive, Y negative. Which means, if you take the inverse tangent, you're going to get an angle between minus pi to 2 and 0, which is not what we want. We want its coterminal angle between 0 and 2 pi. So it's 2 pi plus the inverse tangent of -1/2 is the direction. For A plus B, first thing you want to do is find A plus B. add corresponding components. So 5i plus 3j, right?
So, simple question, it would be wrong to write 4 minus 1, right? Because you can't do like subtraction unless you show like it's,
Anywhere 4 minus 1.
okay.
The idea that subtraction is not a defined operation really only comes in when you're dealing with theory. So like if I was trying to prove things, I wouldn't be able to use subtraction. I'd have to actually write it as plus the additive inverse. We want its magnitude and its direction. Can we write this?
As long as it's not bold, right? Okay.
That's what I'm asking. Are those two the same?
You wrote up there before.
No.
No, because that's just saying that you're adding it to
Mhm.
the right.
Left-hand side is the magnitude of the sum. The right-hand side is the sum of the magnitudes. And
Okay.
in general, they're not equal. In fact, that is governed by the triangle inequality. Magnitude of the sum is less than or equal to the sum of the magnitudes. So that's where you then have to be careful with the notation. Here I have to write the bars.
Okay.
Because otherwise I'd be saying I'm looking for the sum of the magnitude, which I'm not here. That's 25 and 9. Can that be simplified? No. Prime factorization is 2 and 17, neither of which are perfect squares. 334 is the length. For direction, it would be given by tangent of theta is 3 over 5, which is in what quadrant? So what quadrant is A plus B in?
One. So we can do this.
Inverse tangent. That's B minus A. Would be B plus negative 1 times A. To be mathematically correct. For computation, just subtract the Leibniz. Maybe 2 minus 3 I hat plus negative 1 minus 4j hat. Negative I minus 5j. Magnitude. And 326, which cannot be simplified. Angle tangent of theta given by negative 5 over negative 1. That is the reason why I'm writing it that way. That is quadrant 3. Which means we can't just do the inverse tangent. So you're going to get inverse tangent 5, right? Which gives you quadrant 1. How do you get the correct angle? Coterm would still be in quadrant 1.
You would know the same things. Quadrant one, because it's negative.
That's true if you've taken the inverse tangent and made a quadrant 1 angle, but that's not where the vector is located.
Oh, you're gonna have to subtract.
The vector is down here somewhere, right?
Yeah, so we're gonna have to subtract 2.
Here's the angle it's going to give.
Right.
Which means, by the way, that's the same angle, right? It's the reference angle. How are you going to get it? What's that angle? First, never degrees. It's pi. Right, from the positive x-axis to negative x-axis is pi. Then we just have data.
Oh, okay.
Pi plus the inverse tangent 5 is the proper angle. And there's that direction. Right? Yeah, so you have to think. You can't just take the inverse tangent. That's why you shouldn't just want to use your calculator, by the way. Only as smart as the user. Unfortunately, that's all we're figuring out right now. And so,
No, just this.
next time, we'll pick up with question 2. We'll finish up these questions. 25, so let's say 30 minutes to work on the worksheet, I guess. So I have 75 minutes left for this. I'm leave 30 minutes, so 45 minutes. We'll do this, 30 minutes for the worksheet, and then
Wait, is the worksheet gonna be from, that classes?
it's just going to be this stuff.
Okay.
Vectors.
Okay.
It'll just be on vectors. I try to show this every class, a list of assignments. Right now, you only have one, web assignment homework number 1, which is on, I think, just vectors.
Is that open right now?
Just 2.1, just sections 2.1 and 2.2. So if you want to try to go ahead and get a head start, go ahead. And that's what we'll pick up, so see you on Wednesday.